Hi, everybody. Wow, this is weird. I haven't done a live video in a really, really long time on this platform, but here I am. And I have my new microphone, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me really well. And yeah, so I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know that I'm still querying my book. I am currently looking for representation so that I can traditionally publish my book. I have about 25 queries out there, and I'm currently going to try to do another 25 before I take a break again and see what bubbles up from that. That book about my childhood and growing up in the church and everything that happened to me, it's still coming. I'm still planning to publish it. It's just a matter of when. But, if there are any agents out there, hey, I write memoir. I'm doing that. The other thing that I'm doing that's really exciting right now is I am participating in the Readsy 50,000 word challenge for November. And I am actually starting a new book. And this book is all about how I experienced the church growing up and the different ways after I left that I tried to find a spiritual home and where I eventually did find a spiritual home. And it's been a really challenging process. There are a lot of things that I understand, but being able to explain them to someone who maybe hasn't experienced them is a completely different experience. So, like, I was writing about discernment, and I was writing about how the church talked about discernment and how discernment was used to answer questions that maybe the Bible didn't give the clearest answers to. And, someone raised this question to me. They were like, what's the difference between discernment and intuition? And I said, well, I think that the church would say that intuition comes from us and discernment comes from God. But it is kind of a tricky thing to explain to people who maybe haven't experienced that idea before. So I've been writing about discernment. That's what I was writing about the last time I was writing. And weirdly, like, so many really hard things happened to me in my childhood, and some of it is really hard to write about, and it's really hard to be vulnerable about because, like, wow, people are going to read about this horrible thing that happened to me, and is it going to change the way that they see me? Is it going to change, our relationship, right? So those worries were there when I was writing the first book. Now that I'm writing the second book, though, the worries are even more there because ultimately this book is going to end in the place that I am now, like where my spirituality is now. And I'm not so sure that everyone in my life is going to be okay with that. I'm not so sure that everybody in my life is going to understand why I've landed where I've landed and why I've made the choices that I've made. And so it's kind of scary to think about, like, how am I going to be received? How am I going to be judged for my decisions? Are people going to understand? Are they going to still be willing to be in relation with me? Like, that is a really, really scary, vulnerable feeling. But I'm trying not to focus on it too much right now. I'm trying to just focus on getting the words on the page. And it's part of the challenge has been, some of the things that I'm writing about as I'm telling my story of how I got from here to here is like also included in the first book. So I have to find different and unique ways to tell a similar story in parts of this book that I'm writing. And so, it's a good challenge. It's a good opportunity to stretch my writing legs a little bit and to be at the beginning of a project again, because with the book, I was in critique and I was, revising and revising and revising and revising. And it's very strange to be at the beginning of a project again and to not be, I have to keep telling myself, like, you shouldn't be editing this book. You should be writing this book, and the editing will come later. And that's definitely a challenge. It's definitely not something that I'm like, always able to do. Like, I find myself wanting to comb back over stuff that I've just written and make it perfect. And I know that what I really need to do now is focus on getting 50,000 words on the page and writing a rough draft, which is going to be messy and awful, and it's going to need critique and revisions. And that can all come later. Like right now, I just want to focus on writing. And so I've had to kind of talk to myself about that a little bit because, it's not going to be perfect the first time for sure. It's not going to be perfect the 10th time, So, so that's where I am. And I have been very affected by all of the stuff in the news about Epstein and our president and the victims. And it's mostly been where my heart has been is with the victims. I know what it feels like to not be listened to not be believed. And I know what it feels like to grow to be an adult and to still not be believed and to still not be taken seriously. And for the devastation, the ongoing devastation of this kind of trauma, of how that affects your adult life, how that affects your whole life for your whole life. And, this idea that like, oh, it happened a long time ago, so why can't you just let it go? I see that coming up with these Epstein victims. And it's like, it's just really, really hard to witness because I know what that feels like. And so, I have to be really careful how much politics I take in. I have to be really careful how much time I spend on social media. And so that's kind of hard. It's definitely been on my mind. And I've continued to keep my finger on the pulse of where all of these abuse cases are happening in the church, whether it is through keeping up with spiritualabuse.org on Facebook, or it's keeping up with people like Krista Brown, who wrote a fantastic book about her experiences growing up in the Southern Baptist Church. She posts tremendous things that have helped me kind of keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening. And, I'm really sad to say, I don't feel like things are getting any better. And it's frustrating to have this experience as like an 11 and 12-year-old girl and then be a 55-year-old woman and feel like, wow, things aren't any better. But I keep putting my story out there. I keep hoping that change is going to happen, and I keep showing up at the polls and voting, and I keep, talking to people in my day-to-day life about what needs to happen. And that's really all like one person can do, right? Like, I've told my story, I'm trying to get it published. So there's that. And I have a question for you guys, and I'm hoping you're willing to like leave it in the comments for me whenever you see this video. And the question is, what social media platforms do you prefer? Social media is something that I've found to be incredibly toxic in my life and not great for my mental health. But unfortunately, if I want to get an agent and I want to be published traditionally, I have to have a social media following. There's really no choice. And um, it is especially that way because I'm a memoir writer, and nonfiction writers, they have to have a platform. And so rather than just like throwing my energy around to all of these different social media platforms, I want to ask you, like, what platforms do you use? Um, I do have an author page on Facebook. I have a Substack. I have a WordPress page. I'm on Blue Sky. I was on TikTok, and I was talking a lot about what it was like growing up in the church that I grew up in. And with all of the stuff going on where it looks like people that are aligned with Trump are going to be the ones that are going to be taking this platform over, this TikTok platform over, I don't really want to be aligned with that. Now, I mean, that being said, I don't really want to be aligned with Meta either, but I feel like my hands are kind of tied at this point. So I want to know where you are, because I want to be where you are, and I want to be sharing updates and talking to you about things related to my book wherever you are. So if you could just like put into the comments what social media platforms you generally use and where you like to connect with people, that would be super helpful to me. I've thought a little bit about Lemonade, but because Lemonade is owned by ByteDance, I don't know if that's going to go away too. And I don't want to spend a lot of time building a platform somewhere that isn't going to exist whenever. So, yeah, let me know. And if you have any questions about how to reach me on any of the platforms that I'm on, I mean, usually it's just Debbie McNulty, Surviving Church and Childhood. Like if you go to uh, Substack and you search Surviving Church and Childhood, it should come up. But if you're having any trouble reaching me, you can always email me at survivingchurchandchildhood@gmail.com, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. So yeah, I currently have a goal of querying 3 agents a week, and I'm also trying to get as many words into this Reedsy challenge as I can. It's weird having it in November because like there's all kinds of holiday planning going on and it's kind of a busy month, but I'm going to do my best. And I've also on Substack given short readings of what I'm working on in Reedsy for paid subscribers. So if you come to Substack and you want to hear me read or see me read, because I did it on video, parts of what I'm writing, if you're interested, subscribe and become a paid subscriber. It's not a lot of money and you can support me, and you can also get sneak peeks into what I'm writing right now. So yeah, that's what I got. I hope you guys are doing okay. My chronic illnesses are pretty rough right now. Not gonna lie, feeling a little fuzzy in the head. That's just part of having chronic illness. I hope you guys are doing well, and I hope to hear from you in the comments. Talk to you soon.